everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Never Seen It. My name is Betsy, and I'm here with Trent.
Hey, everybody.
How's everybody doing out there in movie land this week?
Betsy, they can't actually respond to
why
you.
not?
It's a podcast. This is a recording. This is not live.
Fine, okay. Well, I hope they're all having a lovely time on their Oscars journey along with us. We have covered 7 of the 10 Best Picture nominees this year, and we are on to number 8 today because we are going back to Brazil. We were there last year for a Best Picture nominee. This year is no different. We're watching The Secret Agent.
More Portuguese.
More Portuguese. Trent, until a couple of weeks ago, I don't think you knew very much about this movie.
Nope.
And I only knew slightly more than you did.
Yes.
But why don't you tell the listeners what you know about The Secret Agent?
So, I don't really know anything about the plot. All I really know is about the setting. Now, you mentioned that last year we covered another movie that was also set in Brazil and also kind of during the same time in history. That movie started in the early 1970s and it went forward in time until we got to about present day. But it was all kind of surrounding this military dictatorship that was happening in Brazil. And this movie is no different. This is taking place in 1977. And as far as like what the movie is, it is kind of a political thriller. It is a movie about the resistance and some folks that were maybe involved. Now, I don't know if this is based on something 100% real or if it is just, collections of stories that were taken, because a lot of this stuff that we're going to be watching here was done in the shadows. It was clandestine. So I don't know if any of the events that are going to be depicted here actually happened or if it's just going to be kind of a cool spy action movie.
Because you and I hadn't actually watched a trailer until a few days ago, but then we watched it and we were like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, it looked really cool. And not only because, hey, some of the set pieces look cool, but like how the movie is shot looks really cool too. And one other thing here that I read before we sat down here was that part of the movie making experience was actually as an homage to Steven Spielberg's movies from the 1970s.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm really curious here if you're going to pick up on some, if I'm going to pick up on any, because apparently it is quite prevalent here. But beyond that, I only know 2 people who were in the movie. The main star here is Wagner Moura. He got nominated for Best Lead Actor for the Academy Awards this year. And also, unfortunately, this is Udo Kier's final movie.
Which, again, I didn't know until we were watching the trailer and he shows up for just a split second.
Yeah, just half a second. Is like, hey, is that Udo Kier?
His face is so distinct, it's hard to miss him.
Yeah. But again, I don't really know anything else here. I hope it's really going to be cool. Anytime we do an international movie that is completely not in English, we both kind of are apprehensive to a point that, okay, we really, really got to pay attention. Also, the movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes.
It's a long one.
It's a long one. So, hey, hopefully everybody is along for the ride.
I hope so, too, because we've talked at length about how people don't give international films enough of a chance.
Yep.
But now that there tend to be a lot more nominated for Best Picture, I hope people are not skipping these. So join us, won't you, as we go watch The Secret Agent, and we will be right back. And we're back. That was Brazil's entry into the Best Picture race of the year, The Secret Agent. Trent, what did you think of it?
That was interesting. I don't know how I'm feeling about this, but I enjoyed my time watching it.
The way I felt was at the beginning, it's a little bit cheeky. They say this story takes place in 1977 when the times were mischievous.
Yeah.
Which is a really lighthearted way to describe a military dictatorship.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. We're being shown here this, like, it's presented to us here like this guy is a really, really important guy. But the short version is he's really not, but isn't he? Basically, anybody who is caught up and the target of any kind of extra governmental surveillance or even assassination in some cases, they are just as important as any dissidents, anybody who is ousted from power, any elected officials, any corrupt officials. Everybody's the same. So if one person is being targeted, then everybody's being targeted. That's the message that I got out of it.
The lesson that I'm taking away from this, because this is the second year in a row we have watched a movie that's coming out of Brazil set during this time frame. I guess two lessons, really. One, I really do need to learn more about the history of this time in Brazil.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of questions watching the movie last year. I have a lot of questions this year. So that should be on my to-do list because it feels like Brazil is going to keep coming up.
Yeah, and
in the
you
Oscars.
and I are very much history buffs, and this stuff is fascinating to me.
But it is also very foreign to me. I do not know a lot about this time or place of history. The second lesson I'm taking away is that the way these two movies are formatted, we're getting the present, which is 1977,
right?
But we're also getting the present that is here and now. And it's like we as moviegoers and the people of Brazil in 2026 are trying to piece together a history that they weren't allowed to talk about in the dictatorship, in the military coup that was happening in the 70s, where people were being disappeared and corruption was abundant in all levels of government. And people were just trying to live their lives. They were trying to get by. The movie last year and this movie, even though one is based on a true story, this one is not. This is just inspired by the time and the place. But the lesson feels the same. Like, this is what it was like. And we want you, the people of the outside world, to see what it was going on here. And also for us to try to piece it together ourselves, because I think there's just a lot of information missing from within.
See, I kind of disagree with you here because I feel like this movie was made for a Brazilian audience and a Brazilian audience only. It's just that we have a fascination now, especially now. We're not going to get into why I'm saying that, but I think you know what I mean. But the reason I say that is because there are so many Brazil only things that the outsiders looking in would never have any inkling as to what the fuck is this about. Specifically, the urban legend about the severed hairy leg.
Trent, when that scene began, I went, what the fuck movie are we watching?
I kind of stopped in my tracks there, but I could not look away.
All of a sudden, the leg has washed up on the beach, and I saw that foot move. I was like 100% sure that foot moved. What is happening? Because we know that that is just a severed leg.
Yeah, and then we hear like the rustling in the bushes right next door, and right before that there was a bunch of capybaras around, and then we are panning across this park with a whole lot of gay men who are filleting each other and making out and fucking each other. What the hell am I even looking at? I know it's Carnival and people like to have a good time, but what the hell is this?
That would be one thing. But then the next thing you see is a hairy severed leg bouncing around, kicking people in the head.
Yeah.
And it is such a strange
this
thing.
Fucking stop motion animation of this severed leg going around kicking people. And again, the way the movie is presenting this comes out of complete nowhere. But also, we have this ongoing thing of stuff showing up in the newspaper about this severed leg. People are talking about it because it was in the newspaper saying, yes, there was a real leg that got washed up on shore inside of the body of a shark. And what was really popular at the time, Betsy? The movie Jaws. So the way it is all presented in this movie, again, is only for the Brazil audience who can look at that and say, oh, that's for me. Who can say, hey, I know what they're talking about here. It's the hairy leg thing.
Which is, of course, a metaphor that they could actually publish that was making fun of the government.
Yeah,
it was a way they could sneak it in.
Yeah, it's one of these things that journalists of the day were able to write about and not be censored by the government.
And they would slip other stuff within the story.
Yeah.
Which is why everybody from Brazil who is from this area is going to look at this movie and go, that's fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
Remember the hairy leg?
So that's why I say it's not really for the world. It's not Brazil wanting to put it out there to say, hey, learn about us and our history. No, it is for Brazilians to learn about their history so it maybe doesn't happen again.
Maybe. And the other thing you just said about the shark, it's all just like springtime, not even spring, it's fucking Easter time because they're talking about Carnival and Ash Wednesday, and it's the early part of the Lent season. So it's early in the year, it's February, but it's fucking hot. Everybody is there, the streets are crowded, everybody's having a party. But they're also just talking about whatever the local news is. And when a shark washes up on the beach with a leg inside, the same time that everybody in the country and everybody in the world is watching the movie Jaws, they're all going to talk about sharks. And sharks keep coming up a lot during The Secret Agent. And I said, Trent, it's also a fucking metaphor. It's shark-infested waters. These are dangerous times. We are surrounded by dangerous people. If there's blood in the water, people are going to attack you. And that is a weird metaphor, but also makes sense because these people are just people. We're like, who is this guy driving around in his yellow Beetle? And why is he on the run? And why do they say his name is Armando, but his name is Marcelo? What's going on here? And you think it's this big clandestine thing. No, it's literally, he is just hiding because people want to kill him.
Yeah, and going back to the idea that this movie is really kind of silly and cheeky, the opening scene of him driving up to go fill up his tank. He stops off at this middle of nowhere gas station. The guy comes out with no shirt on, belly hanging out, but also in the foreground of this shot is a dead body covered up with a piece of cardboard with a rock on top of it.
That has been there for like 5 days.
It's been there for days and days, but the guy who works there says, oh yeah, I was the one who shot him because he came here and tried to steal some oil cans, so I shot him with a shotgun in the face. And yeah, of course I called the cops, but the cops said I can't come out because we're assigned to Carnival.
I think somebody else actually shot him and he just got left with the shitty detail.
Fine, whoever it was.
But basically, the guy who shot him ran away. He ran away, but you have to stay here to babysit the store and the dead body and
if
shoo
you leave,
away all the dogs.
If you leave, then you get fired, but you have to stay with the stench.
Yeah.
Just that idea, Betsy, that you live in this supposed industrialized country with a real government and real authority and everything, there's a dead guy on the ground and nobody comes to pick him up.
But there's so much more, too, that they're just giving us throughout the movie. The very presence of Udo Kier is weird because he's a German guy. Why is he in Brazil? Oh, that's right. He was a Nazi. He was in the German government. But they make sure to show you that he was like a Jewish German soldier or something.
I don't know if he was really a Nazi. They call him, okay, he was a soldier in World War II. It doesn't say that he fought for the Nazis.
Okay, fair. They are not explicit about it, and maybe he's just got the menorah there to like throw people off the scent, but it is just a detail. People who were in Germany in World War II, a lot of them fled to South America, to various countries.
Yes.
So then when you stop to consider, oh, it's the 1970s. This guy is an older man now. Contextually, it makes sense. And that isn't something that they explore a lot in a ton of movies. I think outside of us watching one of the X-Men movies, I can't think of another example of German guys in South America where they're explicitly talking about it. But even in the context, he's just another guy who is here, like the crooked cop, the chief. He's like, show us your bullet wounds.
Right.
Like, we don't give a fuck what you did in World War II. You've got cool scars.
Yeah, he finds Marcelo, calls him his bro, and says, hey, you want to see something fucked up? Let's go and see this German soldier who escaped from Germany in the war, and he's just still here.
But he puts up with your shit because he doesn't want to get in trouble any more than anybody else does.
Exactly. I'll be your fucking monkey and just leave me the fuck alone after this. And you also have the story here about Donna, who I don't know exactly where she's from originally, But for a time, she went to Italy, during the real part of the war. She was there to study music. And then she escaped there to come back here. And she wanted to go back, but she couldn't. And yeah, there's all these just really, really interesting characters. She's maybe my favorite part of this movie. But again, it's all of these characters kind of coming together with a common purpose. Like the people who are staying with Donna in Donna's place, they call themselves refugees, but not really. It is just a place that this organization, if you can even call it that, this organization brings them there for protection. They are given a new name. They're given some money. They're given a job, kind of like what he says here, the Witness Protection Program in America.
It's a safe house.
But this is you being protected from the government. It is not the government protecting you.
Yeah, the fact that all of these people are on the run from their own government. The couple I find particularly interesting is the Senegalese couple, where how bad was it in Senegal in the 1970s that Brazil is a better option for you?
Yeah, was a safer option, but then they're finally able to get over to what they say, Switzerland?
They're going to Sweden.
Sweden, excuse me.
Yeah, they're literally hopping around the globe just trying to get by. Because everywhere they go, they probably got to Brazil before the dictatorship. And then they're just like, we've got an opportunity to get out, so we're going to take it.
Yeah. There's still too much corruption going around. We still can't stay here.
But you're right. All these people are just gathered in this house with this little old lady who knows a thing or two about this kind of activity, having been in Italy during the war. She says, I was a communist and then I was an anarchist, maybe the other way around. I don't remember.
Right. And they've got this like support system where this guy who gives Marcelo a job, he says, well, okay, you're going to be coming into here and it's going to look like this. You're going to learn how to do this, but really you got to put on a show because the fucking sheriff, I'm going to call him a sheriff. The sheriff is going to come in for this dog and pony show because there's this rich lady whose servant's daughter got killed in front of the house and we need to protect her because she's some kind of dignitary. And we're going to have the press come in to do a photo shoot. And yeah, it's really, really strange. You kind of just have to play along.
It's all of the casual ways they're showing to us. This is how we take care of the really bad people, and all of the really decent people are being persecuted. All of the decent people are staying with Donna because they're like, that's not my real name. That's not my real name. I have a death threat against me. I do too. I just found out I have one against me today. And they just all have to sit with that information.
Yeah, because what else are they going to do? They're not bad people. They're not going to take the law in their hands and kill the people who are trying to kill them. No, we live in a goddamn society. That doesn't happen.
Trent, when we got to the big reveal, why is Marcelo undercover? Why is he in hiding? Why is this all happening here? And we find out he was the head of research at a university.
Yep.
And this rich fuck just wants his patents, and he punched him in the face. That's it.
Yeah, this very rich and powerful businessman who has connections with the government, probably government military contracts, because he wants his hand in every single pie out there, he doesn't want the public university owning a patent that is something that he can make money on.
Yeah, they're talking about lithium batteries, which in 1977,
yeah.
That is ground floor shit. You are going to make a ton of money.
But should you? That's really the question here. And I know this is maybe tiptoeing into, capitalist versus communist kind of a thing. All I'm going to say about that is that people should question what areas of life should be allowed to profit. Should you be allowed to profit over somebody's pain when it comes to the medical field? Should people profit over our transportation network, like public transit? Should people profit over that, or should it be run by the government? Those are the questions that I want people to be asking, and not just say, oh my God, that's socialist, that's communist, whatever. No, we have socialist programs. We have a sort of communist program already. Plenty of them. And this guy who's the bad guy in the movie, who's the one hiring the fucking hitman to go after the guy. He just wants his bottom line to grow. That's the whole fucking idea here.
And these two guys fucking hate each other. Like when we are introduced to that rich dude and he is putting the hit out on Marcelo, the way he is describing it, like he says, I want him to have another hole in his face.
Right.
Like he's doing the hand gesture and he is staring off with this crazy look in his eyes because he fucking hates this guy.
When all it is, Betsy, is that he's smarter than him. He's more handsome than him. He has a hotter wife than him.
And they told him to his face,
and
you
they
fucking
told
suck.
him to his fucking face and punched him in that fucking face because he's coming in there to try to take over everything, put everybody else out of work in that university and shut it all down because he doesn't get his way.
And he's not respectful. He is outwardly disrespectful to them. And they're like, you know what? We can put up with a lot of your bullshit, but you are being so disrespectful and there's a line and we're hosting you. We paid for dinner.
Yep, I invited you out with my wife for this nice dinner so we could have a chat about your plans for my university, for my program, whatever. I've been doing this for years now. This is a courtesy, but if you're coming in here to dismantle this, I'm not about it.
Meanwhile, when we hear it from Marcelo's point of view, this is in the trailer, and this was maybe the moment, the clip from the trailer that got me like very invested.
Yeah, he turns off the recorder that's recording him.
He says, I'm not a violent man, but I would kill this guy with a hammer.
Yeah. And the guy who's in the room there asks, do you carry a gun? No, but I'm really good with a hammer.
Yeah, that is how deep their hatred for each other goes. And it's at this point in the movie, you still think there's some like clandestine spy shit about to happen. No, really not. They just really don't like each other.
Yeah.
And the difference is they are in a state of government where the guy who is rich and powerful has the authority to fuck this guy's life up completely. He has got him fired and discredited from his university. He is on a no travel list. He cannot leave the country.
And there are stories being planted in various newspapers in order to discredit him and accuse him of corruption, not the other way around. So what do you do in that case? You escape. That's all you can do, because what power do you have? What power does whatever this organization have? The people who are funding all of this, they're corrupt too. Because they say, oh yeah, whoever's organizing this, they're stealing from the Brazilian government or the Brazilian people, whatever. And they want that to continue in that way. They don't really go into it, but again, everybody who has their fucking fingers in the pie of the Brazilian government, they're all on the take. So the movie is very relevant to today because there is still corruption in all levels of government, from the local to the county to the state to the federal. I'm not putting any blame on any one level of government.
There's always at least one person doing the wrong thing when they get in a position of power.
Exactly. But that's why there needs to be outside people looking in to make sure that people are keeping them honest. Which is why I kind of thought here when Armando / Marcelo is calling into this like federal agency. It's why I thought he was like reporting in to say, okay, call me on a secure line. We need to send information back and forth. And I'm like, oh shit, this is where it's going to happen. Well, no, it's not. They're just trying to get in touch with him so that he can tell his story to this woman.
Who is this woman, by the way? Is she a reporter? Is she with the government? Is she with an outside agency? There's so many things that I still want to know about this world, about this movie. Because when it started, I'm like, okay, this is a little bit slow. It's cheeky, it's funny, but it took a little while for me to get into the groove. And then we hit 2 hours and 40 minutes and the movie is over. And I'm like, that's it? But I have so many more questions.
Right. I really want to know what is up with her. Who is she working for? Who are all of these other people in this building that are being taken care of? Why are they all there? And what's the end game here?
But mostly I want to know because we go so abruptly from 1977 to present day. And I'm like, wait, what's the conclusion?
Yeah, it just hops
what's
back
gonna
and
happen?
forth, back and forth, back and forth.
But then when we get to the end of the movie, we jump to the future and that's it. We don't know what happened to Marcelo until this woman who happens to be involved, she's got this government contract to transcribe some old tapes. And she's interested in the story, and she becomes invested. And she's like, we got to go to the source. We got to look at the newspapers. She becomes a tiny detective because now she's so invested. She's got to know. She is me in this movie. I got to know.
It's the advent of all of these real crime podcasts and these amateur investigators just finding out a story and becoming very interested in it and discovering, oh my God, there really isn't a conclusion to this entire thing. So let's investigate. That's kind of what she's doing here.
But the conclusion is she finds a newspaper article and he was gunned down in the street.
Right.
That is how we find out what happened to him.
Yeah, with the tagline, well, it's this guy who was gunned down at this age and he had been accused of corruption.
Yeah, we think it has to do with corruption and that's why he was killed.
And because it's in the newspaper, that is the official record. Well, maybe it isn't, because we have to get this story out about the fact that Brazil, in and of itself, at all levels, had some kind of corruption just twinge to it. So you can't necessarily trust whatever the official story is, whether it's from the government, from newspapers, from the cops, from regular-ass people. You can't trust it. The only thing you can trust is the story about the hairy leg.
There is another source she can trust, but we're going to talk about that after we take a quick break for a word from our sponsor. Feeling run down, lethargic, a little bloated?
Yes. Oh, God, yes.
Well, have I got the prescription for you?
Oh, no, not another pill. I take enough of those that I find in the dumpster behind the Burger King.
Oh, no. It's better than any dumpster pills. It's patreon.com/neverseenitpod.
I'm interested. Tell me more.
It's premium content from those jokers at Never Seen It. They have 4 other weekly shows, plus bonuses.
I've heard of those guys. They're like super talented and funny.
And sexy. Don't forget sexy.
Oh, then I'll definitely check them out. Thanks, disembodied voice.
Anytime. So we knew the star of this movie was Wagner Moura. And we had seen him last year when we watched Civil War. And that is literally the only thing I have ever watched him in. And it wasn't until 3 days ago that you told me he played Pablo Escobar in that Narcos show. I was like, he's the sad Pablo Escobar?
That's him.
I had no idea, Trent.
It's only because we saw like a preview or a thumbnail with the description on it saying, this guy gained 40 pounds in order to play Pablo Escobar in that show.
I had no idea. But what did you think of his performance in The Secret Agent?
I think he played it to a T, because at no time were you convinced one way or the other that he is or isn't some kind of extra special spy guy or an important person of any kind or just some dude.
He is just handsome enough to be interesting, and you look at him like the guy says, you look like a cop. Well, yeah, he's got that energy around him because we have already been told this movie is called The Secret Agent. So you're like, well, that's exactly the kind of thing a cop would say. I'm not a cop. I am not a cop, Trent.
I'm not a cop.
So he's got this handsome face. He does undergo a transformation. When we see him in the flashbacks, he's got this long hair and this big beard. Later we see him and he has short hair and a beard. Later we see him and he has short hair and a mustache. Not only that, he plays his grown-up son. At the end of the movie, he has yet another look. And I was just like, wait, we're in the future. Oh my God, he's playing his own son. What is happening right now?
Yeah, the man is just a chameleon here, playing it up for the audience. He's also playing it up for anybody who he is like working with at this ID agency. Then he goes and visits his son and his in-laws who are taking care of his kid. And it really seems like he has this kind of history with Donna, like she knows him or he knows her. Everything that he's doing here is very, very confident. And I think if anything that you can say about this guy, everything that he does is with confidence.
until the very end of the movie where he almost gets shot in that office, when he gets made, basically. That's the moment where you're like, oh, the jig is up because he knows he's Armando. And he runs down the hall and he gets the chief of police and they get the guys here. And then people start shooting guns and everything is chaotic and there's a chase scene and there's a guy bleeding and he's stuffing stuff in his bag to get the hell out of Dodge. That's the only time in the movie where he's really shaken up, apart from when he's having a nightmare and he wakes up screaming.
Yeah.
Those are kind of the only moments where he sort of cracks just a little bit.
But I think, Betsy, if you can really look at the character and determine anything, everything that he is doing here is for his son. We don't see, and I was kind of hoping that we would see something, but we don't see what actually happens with his wife / mother of his son. I don't know if they're actually married or not.
I think they said something about them being married, so yes.
Okay. But everything he is doing here, he is putting on the airs of confidence because he needs to be able to get through all of this. And you maybe think there, he makes that phone call after he's made and tells the lady, I need my passports now. But that's really the last time that we see Armando.
And we don't know what happens to him. So that's why I'm saying it's very jarring when we're just suddenly in the present and then that's it. What happened? What happened?
Yeah, it is kind of anticlimactic, not only for the audience, but for the person doing the research here, because the gal in the present, she just happens upon this newspaper article saying that he was killed. And we're like, oh man,
You just sort
that's
of,
such a bummer.
yeah, the air just sort of goes out of you because you're like, I'm invested in this.
He's almost out.
He's almost out. I need to know what happened to him. And the only way she can find it is to go to those newspapers and then goes to his son. And I don't know why it never occurred to me that he would just be playing his own son as an adult.
Yeah.
I never thought of it. But he has to play it completely differently. And he's talking about how I don't even remember my own father.
Yeah, he says, well, it was my grandparents who really raised me. I thought of my grandfather as my father. Yeah, there's some memories in my head about my dad and maybe even my mom, but I feel like those are actually just stories that were told to me, and I created this artificial memory from the stories that were told to me. And because he was so young at the time, that makes sense. You don't really have a lot of solid memories from when you're that age, like 4 or 5, I think he was.
You have little glimmers that you think are memories, but you're not even sure anymore if, did I make that up because somebody told it to me? Or do I remember it? It gets so blurry after so many years, it's hard to say.
Totally.
But him playing two different people, he is a completely different actor at the end of the movie. When he is playing his son, he's much more casual. He is much more full of humor.
But then when he's confronted with this, he is a little standoffish, saying, I kind of don't want to talk about that.
There's things that I can't or won't talk about. And he says, you know what? You know my father at this point better than I do.
Yeah.
And he almost hesitates taking that drive. It's got his voice on it. Wouldn't it be nice to hear your own father's voice? And he thinks about it, but then he takes it and he shoves it in his pocket and he just kind of smiles.
Yeah, maybe for later.
But the performance that Wagner Moura is giving is very small compared to some of the best actor performances I'm sure we're going to see this year.
Yeah.
Because they love in the Academy when you're putting on this big performance. It's got to be big. It's got to be loud. It's got to be Timothée Chalamet doing Marty Supreme. You know, that's a big performance. And at the other end of the spectrum, you've got Wagner Moura, who is just a guy. Like, you're thinking this entire movie, he's a spy. He's a secret agent. He's got a double identity.
He's something
He is
more
something.
than just a guy.
But he's not. He's just a guy. And he's so good at being just a guy. It's weird, but yeah, he is at the complete opposite end of the spectrum and doing a much more subtle kind of acting, which I think some people don't appreciate.
Well, if they don't appreciate that kind of acting, it's because it isn't the big bombast, or it's not the really emotional and sobbing, crying kind of acting that you would think, well, that earns you an Oscar because you cried on screen. No.
He did that too, though. Like when he has his nightmare, he wakes up screaming and swearing and crying. He is very upset in that moment. But the rest of the movie, he's got to keep his shit together. And there's only one scene, like I said, where he kind of cracks, where he goes to the cop and the guy's like, hold out your hand. You're nervous. Why are you nervous? He's like, I'm not fucking nervous. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, and I would be really interested in watching this movie again, knowing what you know about the character, his past, his relationship with everybody there. Like, how would you watch this movie again, knowing all of that stuff? I don't know. I really don't know how I would feel.
And as I said, even though this movie's almost 3 hours long, I did want more. I think I would like to watch this again because I like the puzzle. I want the puzzle. I want to understand the puzzle.
I like the character.
Yeah.
Even though he isn't this special boy who I want to watch do everything. No, he's just he's a cool guy. He hooks up with the lady who is living there. He has a son that he loves and wants to take to Jaws with him. God, there were so many fucking references to other movies from the era. It's one of the reasons why Betsy and I were just screaming on the couch tonight. But if I were to watch the movie again, besides all the movie references, I think I might actually like it more because I know I'm not anticipating a big reveal. I know there isn't a big reveal, so I can look at the more subtle things that the filmmakers are actually showing me.
Like the two-faced cat?
Yeah, what's that about?
I don't know. It's so bizarre because your brain notices it, but then you short circuit a little bit as he is looking at it. Because it is done with computer animation, and it's not great. I will say that. It's not perfect animation, but it's convincing enough that your brain does a double take.
Yeah.
So since we're on this topic,
two-faced cats?
Of course. But things in the movie and how they look. You had said in the intro something about like 1970s Spielberg or just like 70s cinema in general.
Yeah.
There wasn't as much as I was maybe expecting. I definitely get that this is a 70s vibe movie. The things that stood out the most were when there were people on phone calls and we had like the dual split screen thing happening.
Yeah, they had the dual focus going on. I also appreciated when they strapped the cameras to the vehicles driving around. They showed some of that in one of the trailers that we watched. It's when one of the cops is having his arm hanging out with the leg hanging out of the car going across that bridge.
They also do a lot of swipes.
Yeah.
Swipe transitions.
Yeah, those Star Wars wipes.
I haven't seen a wipe transition in years. I couldn't tell you the last movie that actually utilized that effect.
And does it so well.
Oh, yeah, it's great. The first time you're like, hell yeah, wipe effect. It's like we're on Tatooine and C-3PO and R2-D2 are going to the desert and swipe to the stars. It's that silly effect. Doesn't need to be here. But they were like, fuck it, it's the 70s. Let's go for it. And the movie really does look great overall. I'm sure I mentioned this last year when we talked about a movie set at this time in Brazil. The fact that they have all of these period-appropriate cars. In South America, there's weirdly much more accessibility to those old cars because they just don't import nearly as much. It's all there already. South America is chock-a-block full of these great cars from the 70s. And so when you're doing a period piece, it's like, hey, bring your car. We're going to flood the streets and make it look authentic to the period.
Speaking of, there was that one shot when Armando is looking out the window of the cinema where you just see the city and it looks just like it's out of the 1970s. Obviously, that's not real, but it still looked great.
I almost wonder if you couldn't have found some footage of that street at that time and just spliced it into the movie.
Or at least used elements of footage from that era, I'm sure. But still, it looked great. I loved how natural all the lighting really looks and how many times the camera lens was catching the light intentionally and having things really flare. And really, it was this era where filmmakers found, camera flares and lens flares, that actually looks really cool.
We can do it with intention, and if you do it with purpose, it looks great. Also, just the general vibe of there's so many bright colors. Everybody's wearing great fashion.
Well, that's just the 70s, baby.
Yeah, I like it. It looked very authentic, top to bottom. I didn't see anything that was really out of place watching this movie.
You know, in a way, I almost wish that they would have done the thing that they did in The Holdovers, where they use a different camera lens or they just put a digital effect over the footage they did shoot to make it look like it was shot in the 70s.
You wanted the grain.
I wanted the fucking dirty nature of what the 70s cinema was.
All I wanted was a crash zoom, and I didn't get it.
No, there was none of that here. Man, would have given more credence to this being a spy movie, but it ain't a spy movie.
But it is a good movie. I'm actually kind of glad that this is in the group because I was intrigued by it. I had heard about The Secret Agent.
Yeah, like I said, it is a really interesting movie to look at and to really study. It's not my favorite movie of the year by any means, but I'm not mad that it got nominated.
Neither am I, and we'll see how it fares. I don't think it's going to win Best Picture, but maybe it's got a shot for international because it's in both categories.
Yeah, I think international picture is going to be between this one and sentimental value.
I agree with you. But Trent, do you have any other things that you wanted to talk about for The Secret Agent before we finish this one up?
I told you this before we started recording. I just wanted more footage of Udo Kier partying it up at Carnival.
Yeah, that was the last time we saw him. He's in 2 scenes.
Yeah.
The second time he had no lines, but he was dancing. And isn't that a great way to send the man off?
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, then, we are going to call this an episode for The Secret Agent. But tell us, have you seen this one? I'm guessing not as many of you have watched this one yet, but I'm hoping a few of you have, because we would love to hear what your thoughts are. Send us those to neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We got an email from one of our super fans, Mitch from Saskatoon, about another one of the Best Picture nominees, Sinners. Got a lot of people emailing us about Sinners.
All of a sudden, our super fans did not watch this last summer. They are just finally getting around to it because last week it was our super fan, Stephanie. But yes, Mitch from Saskatoon, he sent us an email about Sinners. Happy day, y'all. I got to watch Sinners because it happened to be available. I knew nothing about it except that it was nominated for a ton of Oscars, so it must be good, right? But holy shit, what was that? Yeah.
A great Southern story goes on, brotherly love, and then it's a vampire movie, and they perform Irish music? I was blown away. I like movies, but am no Siskel, Ebert, or a Betsy and Trent. Okay, maybe like a Trent.
Okay.
I never analyze movies for Best Picture, but I have a feeling this is the one that wins.
All right.
This movie is the most unique I have ever seen. It was beautifully shot, and the storytelling was wonderful. I was transported to the South a long time ago, and then I feared for my life and couldn't sleep afterwards because of vampires. And the sun is down a whole lot more up here. It was an experience, and isn't that what we want in our movies?
Hell yeah.
An interesting watch for sure, and I can't wait to see where it ends up on your Oscars list. Singing the blues from here in Saskatoon, Mitch.
Well, thank you, Mitch. Yeah, that movie really goes on a journey, doesn't it? And really, I cannot wait to be able to watch it again because we watched this last summer. I think it was the summer, right? It was our decade series.
Yeah, it came out in like April or May of last year, and we waited a few months to see it, and now people are still talking about it.
People are still discovering it because it just broke the record for most nominations for any movie. And yeah, I got a feeling it is going to win some of those.
My God, Trent, if it does not go home with some Oscars, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What is it all about? But I'm glad that Mitch finally had a chance to watch this and that he is rooting for it for Best Picture. I hope you also get a chance to watch some of the other nominees, Mitch, so send us your thoughts if you have a chance to watch those. But you listeners can also be like Mitch. As we said, that email is neverseenitpod@gmail.com. If you don't like doing email because, you know, it's for old people, sorry, we're old. It is how we are. You can also reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky. You can find us on all of those by following the link in the podcast description. If you haven't had enough of us today from listening to this episode and you would like to hear more from Betsy and Trent, you can also find us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/neverseenitpod, where for $5 a month, you can get 5 additional shows plus bonus episodes. We put out all kinds of content over on that site. And because it's Oscar season, we may have some new people discovering us because you're listening out for Oscar content. If you like this episode, go to where you're listening, give us 5 stars, write us a nice review. We would really appreciate that support. But that is going to be it for The Secret Agent, movie 8 of 10. We're almost in the home stretch, Trent, for the Best Picture nominees. We have 2 more weeks, 2 more episodes. What are we going to be doing next week?
Well, it could only be one of 2 other movies, Betsy, so we're going to choose to watch Train Dreams, a Netflix original.
So we hope you'll come back next week for that episode. Until then, we thank you for listening. My name is Betsy.
And my name's Trent.
We'll see you then.
Bye.